So we've just looked at the basics of proportions, right? So just the idea of cross multiplying, solving the proportions, checking to see if two ratios do indeed form a proportion, and then just the difference between the proportions and multiplication problems, right? Proportions were equations, whereas multiplication problems were expressions. So you can solve a proportion, but you can really just simplify a multiplication problem. So that's the difference. So now here's the fun part, which is the application problems. All right. So just keep in mind that we're doing proportions here. So you're going to be setting up proportions. So there's multiple ways to set them up correctly in order to solve them. But the model that I like to use is this, where I break each problem into two situations, what I call situation one and situation two. And then I just set up the proportion in this form. So the first situation, the first units over the first situation, the second units, is equal to the second situation with the first units over the second situation and the second units. So again, what does it mean? It depends on the problem. So you got to just look at individual problems and see what's going on, right? So the first one here, a recipe that calls for 3 pounds of ground beef can feed 8 people. So this is what I would call here situation one. This is situation one. And then situation two is going to be how many pounds of ground beef will the cook need to buy to feed 20 people? That's going to be your situation two, right? So what I'm going to use for my first fraction here, right? Unit one, situation one over unit two, situation one. And again, it doesn't matter what you put, what you call unit one and unit two. I mean, what would make more sense here? I guess how many pounds per person, right? So it would make more sense probably to say 3 pounds is to 8 people. So I would probably write this as 3 pounds is to 8 people. And then this is going to be equal to now the same setup now, but with situation two. So how many pounds? So this is the unknown here. So the pounds is the unknown. So I'm going to have my variable, which I can call x pounds, right? Is to 20 people, right? So that's set up now correctly, right? So my first fraction dealt with my first situation, right? Pounds over people. And my second fraction dealt with my second situation, pounds over people. And now once it's set up, now you just remember, all right, cross multiply. So now it's just 3 times 20 equals 8 times x. So 3 times 20 equals 8x. This is 60. And then I divide by 8. And then 60 over 8 is going to be 7.5 pounds. So I need 7.5 pounds to feed the 20 people. All right. And again, then you should just make sure it makes sense at the end, right? So I needed 3 pounds for 8 people. So I would naturally need more than double that for 20 people. And 7.5 is actually more than double 3. So it does make sense there. Okay. So these are pretty straightforward, right? They're all going to basically be set up the same way. So like in the second one here, all right, well, 8 pieces of plywood is 87.04. That's my situation one. And then 25 pieces, what will the cost be? That's going to be my situation two. And again, the way you do it, you know, the units that go on the top and the bottom doesn't really matter. But again, when we do prices, we generally put the prices on top. We want like dollars per piece. So I would probably prefer to set this one up as 87.04 per 8 pieces equals what will the total cost be? So the dollars is the unknown. So it's X dollars over 25 pieces, right? So again, dollars over pieces in the first situation, dollars over pieces in the second situation, and then I cross multiply, right? So 8704 times 25 equals 8x. So here's another 8x, right? And then you would just do this multiplication. So what's 8704 times 25? It's 2176. So this is 2176 equals 8x. And once again, I'm going to divide by 8. So it's just 2176, and then I just divide this by 8, 272. So the cost of the 25 pieces is going to be $272. Right? And again, it makes sense because 8 pieces was 8704. So this should be more than 3 times that amount, right? So if you think of 8704 as about $90, triple $90, you get $270. So 272 sounds logical.